welcome back to the channel, you kooks. Today we are going to be covering one of our frequently asked questions, one of our most asked questions, is how do I attach all of my furniture and my walls to the van, and it starts with framing. So we're going to show you how to frame out your van so that you can attach all of these things very securely, and all of your furniture will be very stable and secure. And if you find this video helpful, this is a preview of what we will be offering in our masterclass. And if you are building your van, we are going to take you step by step of how to build out your van so that you're not researching all over the place. We're going to have it all in one place and walk you through each step. So if that is something that you're looking for and you're tired of researching, hit up vankooks.com, sign up for our masterclass, and we will notify you when the whole class is ready. With all that being said, be sure to like, subscribe, share with a friend, and let's get into it, kooks.
To the framing module. You've done all your installation. Now we're on to an intimidating part. You're going to be drilling some wood into the van, and people are always afraid of sending those screws, daylighting them through the van. So we're going to show you how to avoid that. I'm going to run through tools and materials you need for this step. So first, obviously, you'll need a saw. If you don't have a nice chop saw, it's okay. You can just use a nice circular hand saw. It's going to take you a little more time, but you can do it with this. You don't need the chop saw. You're going to need a drill, and I have a countersink bit on there. You're going to want to countersink all the screws so they sit flush. We'll show you why later. You're going to need an impact driver to get these screws into the wood and into the van. And then you will need some number 10 1.5 inch self-drilling hex head screws. We like the hex head because it doesn't strip as much. With the Phillips, you hit that metal and you tend to strip the head out. Hex head's great. It grips nice. It drives in there really nicely. You'll also need a pile of 1x3x8s, and we just grabbed a bunch. You can always return them to Home Depot. We like to grab a little more than necessary and then return later, so we're not going to and from the store. And lastly, you'll need your 10 Commandment tablets. We'll show you how we just get our cut list going first, so then we're not going to and from the van, and we can just chop all the wood at once. So let's get into it. So let's talk about how to avoid sending the screw through to the other side of the van. So a lot of people ask us this question. It's most commonly asked. So most of the van is going to be this 1/16 of an inch sheet metal, and obviously you can't put the screw through there. It'll just fly right through. And we got a little excited on our installation and went ahead and insulated the whole van, but I can pull some back here and show you. So a lot of the van will have these what I call structural ribs. I don't know what the proper term is for them, but this is where we're going to be attaching our wood with our self-drilling screws. So we're going to be going into this, and if you can see this transit, it has quite a bit of room. I mean, I can push the insulation back there further, so we're almost at 4 inches of space. So if you imagine I put the wood in there, I mean, I'm not anywhere near going through to the other side of the wall. So that's kind of how you decide it. We have 1 inch thick strips on the furring strips. So I have this 1.5 inch screw with the countersink. We'll get it in there pretty good, and that should give us enough to hold it in there. We'll show you as we go along how we do this. But I just wanted to explain, you're wanting to go into these pieces, and when you see we already have the insulation everywhere, you can tell where it is and it isn't. Like here, you can just kind of hit it and feel it, and then like here, it's soft, it's empty. But if you have a different van, just before you start insulating, get an idea of where all the structural ribs are. We even have them on the roof, and also just get that measurement from the outside of the van to the inside of the rib, and then you'll know how big of a screw you need. You don't need maximum length on the screw, just enough to sink into the metal and hold that wood in. So with all that being said, the first step is we're going to measure these lengths, and we're going to get our cut list and that's going to make life go a lot easier. So here we go.
So what we like to do first is we like to get all of our 8-footers in first because we don't have to make any cuts. And then after that we start measuring and we make a cut list. So that's where that cut list comes into play. Next step, when you're putting your beams across, you'll want to make sure that it's level. So find out if your van is even level first, and then figure out where that level bubble sits in your van and make sure you match it up every time. And also there are some places in the van where there's 2 pieces of sheet metal that go over each other, and it may be even 3. So you're going to need to pre-drill some of those places because the self-drilling screws won't make it through. So another way, if you don't have a level for this project, is you can measure the in-between distance where you want it to be. Like we are going to have 10 inches between here, and you want to do 10 inches from the other side, maybe 10 inches from the middle. Just make sure it's consistent the whole way through. And once you got it, you'll mark your line, and you'll mark it all your different places that you want to be. All right, to secure these to the wall, what you'll need to do is you'll need to knock behind each one of these places. So I went through and marked wherever I can knock, because right here you can tell that this is like nothing behind it. But here, there's something you can screw into. Here there's nothing here. There's something here, nothing here. So go through and knock and make sure that you mark where you can go drill into, or else you'll be creating a headache for yourself. After you have your holes marked, you pre-drill.
So I'm using my countersink bit. This is important because then when I sink this screw in here, you can see it's got this countersink, and it'll actually sit flush. So when I'm putting my walls on, there's not a big bump, and you'll see why. You can see how we countersink these hex bolts.
So they're flush. So
then when that wall lays on, they're not popping out, and you don't have a weird bubbly wall. So that's the purpose of the countersink. And then also, kind of when we're just laying these on, you could take a photo or draw on here. We've done this so much, we like to just kind of, you can feel it. So now we're just going to continue laying these strips, and we lay the strips like this because this is where our upper cabinets are going. So keep in mind,
you do need this one. A lot of people do ask us that in the comments, like why they need certain structural things, but this will hold your upper cabinet, and this will also hold your wall.
Yeah, and then we'll also measure 8 feet to connect the wall, and we'll show you that here as we go. We'll make sure you guys have everything dialed before you finish this.
All right, so this is our cut list. This is our little drawing of the van here. We already have these ones attached, and so we've numbered off. This is number 4, so our 4th measurement is 41. This is 3. That's 21. That space between there is 21. 2 is this one here. It's 22. 1 is 44. So those are all the ones that we need to cut. And then on the other side, we have the other side of the van. So this just makes it easy. If you have all of your cuts, these are kind of sloppy, but we know what it means. If you have all your cuts, then you can just fly through your cuts and have all of your pieces ready to be pre-drilled and sent into the wall.
So something that will help you, but it is not required, is one of these squares. So you'll make your measurement, and then you'll hold it up here, and you'll see that it just gives you a nice straight line. If you don't have that, you can always use a piece of wood. There's lots of different things you could use, but this definitely helps.
And if you're a perfectionist like me, I like to use a pencil so I can have a thin line. You don't want a Sharpie line because it gives you some variance in your measurement. So whenever I mark my line, I put a mark on what side I want to take away. So this is going to take the line. So I want to take the line away. I don't know if that'll make sense. I'll show you. Okay, so in the last step, I said that I was going to mark which side I wanted to keep and which side I wanted to take. So the X means I want to leave this side. So when I say leave the line, I want the saw to line up with the edge of that line. So I leave the line on the board that we're using.
depending on what van you have, you are going to have a nice curve in the roof. And these 1x3s, they're actually very flexible. So it's very important to get an exact measurement so you can wedge it in there. And then I'm going to get it in place, and then I'm going to drill it in. Also, always pre-mark your holes like we said. Get the countersinks going. It's going to save you a huge headache. Oh yeah. So you can see that wood bends nicely. Just going to sink a few more in.
Nice and snug.
And you can see that countersink, so when we tongue and groove the roof, it's all going to fit perfect. Yeah, make sure you get these 1x3s because they do flex nicely for the curves of the van. There's a few different ways you can do your van. You can do tongue and groove, or you can just lay down sheets of wood. In this case, we're going to do plywood. So plywood comes in 4x8 sheets. So when we lay the plywood across, we need a place so we can join the two pieces together. So what you need to do is measure it out, and I got this measured to the 8-foot mark. And right at the 8-foot mark, you'll put it in the center. So when you lay your sheet on, you can attach the wood to each side and you have something to attach to. So this is going to help you later on. Even if you're using tongue and groove, say you got 10-foot tongue and groove pieces, you'll need to lay a piece at the 10-foot mark so then you can join them together. Otherwise, you'll just have the wood kind of floating over and then you'll have nothing to attach to. So keep that in mind, and we'll also explain how to keep in mind where your cabinets are going next. So you'll need the wood to kind of split that 8-foot mark. Then you can nail in the plywood on each side.
So we went through and we measured all the cross beams that we're going to have, and we made a cut list so that we could just chop, chop, chop and throw them in as quick as possible.
Yeah, and the cut list is going to save you tons of time. So measure it, write it down, code it. We always number everything 4, 4, and then we chop it. And it really helps speed up the process. Otherwise, we'd be coming back and forth, and we don't got time for that. A tool we forgot to mention, and you don't need them for all the vans, but it's definitely going to help you later on when you're building cabinetry. But for the framing, we need a Craig jig. We have this Ford Transit, and it's got some very weird cavities. And the Craig jig, it does some pocket holes for you. So you get these nice pocket holes, and I'll show you when I put them in the van why we're doing the pocket holes, because we basically ran out of metal to attach to. So now we're going to start attaching to our existing framing, and we're going to use these to go down into the wood. So now we got our framing in. We are measuring these cross pieces because we need a header to attach our cabinets to. So when we put in our countertops here, we need something to attach to. So we're going to run another piece of framing along here. So then when we have our cabinet and countertop headers, we put it here, and also here with our upper cabinets, we're going to attach here and down in here. And same with this, upper cabinets and upper cabinets here. And then we're also going to create our bed header along here. So we're going to get into it. Danny's the master measurer and chopper, cutter, whatever you want to say. And she gets it so exact. So you guys want your measurements to the 32nd, and you want your van looking clean and beautiful. You know where to come. You know who to call. It's not the Ghostbusters. But yeah, look how good it's looking in here. We're really proud. I don't think you see people frame vans this well online, so you want to do it like a true kook, you know, you got to have this guide, hoping it's helping you. So now we're just attaching with the Craig jig all these cross pieces, because you can see we got some space, there's nothing to connect to. So we're using the pocket jig to screw the pocket holes, and then we get our screws in there. See if I can get that. So yeah, we're just going along. We marked our 3-foot mark, and we're putting everything above it, and then we're just going to run it along. So I figured I'd show you now the insulation. So the Reflectix works best with the air gap, And we have created quite an air gap here, and I can show you. You can see the transit gives you a lot of space to have a nice air pocket here. And even up here, we still got about an inch off the wall. So once our walls go on, we're gonna have a nice air gap. It's gonna trap that thermal heat in there. So we are just drawing our line to see where to put our framing on for our countertop header. And you'll see why this all matters in the cabinet module. But right now in the framing module, you'll definitely want to know your layout. And we're going to have a countertop right here. And we need some nice points to attach to. So in the framing, we work out how to attach our countertops and our cabinets to the wall. So if you're following along and you have a transit, you can basically follow this pattern and you'll have a very bulletproof van.
Bulletproof.
Bomb-proof. All right, we got it all pretty much done. The framing chapter is about done. And I guess I could just show you. So we countersink all these hex bolts, and you can see they're flush. So when the wall goes on, it's not going to bump out. And these are kind of a pain to get in. You just got to use an impact driver. We have a Lively 20-volt impact driver, and you got to put some pressure on there. And then once you just push those in, once you got the pre-drill, it makes life easy. But if you just have the wood drill, it makes it easier too. And having a hex head makes it easy as well. So I wanted to kind of show the detail of how they sink into the van. So that's there. And then you can see we Craig jig all these pieces where there's nothing to go into. So we just have nice, and it's very sturdy. I mean, you can give it a good shake and shake the whole van. So once again, I just want to emphasize, when you do your framing, you need to just know your layout. So we're going to have upper cabinets. So we have our furring strips on the wall. We're going to attach our upper cabinets into these frames. And then we have our bed along here. We're going to have a countertop here. And as you can see, we just have everything in place. We're going to have countertop here. Then it bumps up to where our bed will be. And then we have our upper cabinets. So this is a very bomb-proof way to frame your van. I think it's the best way to do it. And I think with the insulation as it is, you can see this nice vapor barrier we have. Everything's tape sealed. So you watch the insulation module and now you're through the framing module. So you should be having this really nice, really clean looking van. And now when we attach the walls in the next module, you're going to see how easy it is because we made the framing so good. And before we get into that, you also want to know how you're going to, what walls you're going to use. We're going to use 4x8 Revolution ply, and you'll see that in the next video. And we actually recommend it. You can get it at Lowe's. But they're 4x8 sheets, and we're going to run them 8 feet across. So then we hit our 8-foot mark over here. This is an 8-foot span. But on this side, we add in these extra framing pieces. So when we line the board up, it's going to hit 8 feet there. And then we have a place to nail the other sheet on. So if you're doing tongue and groove, you might have 10-foot pieces, but the ply is very easy. And we got a great hack on the walls and how to just make it easy so you're not cutting these crazy curves. And we're going to show you how we do that, and we're going to show you how we wire as well. So we got a few modules between framing and actually building cabinets. So next we'll probably jump into wiring. We'll wire everything. I'll show you how we get in there and wire now. It's actually very easy. And we're going to go through battery bank basics and all that stuff. So you're going to learn a lot. You're in for an exciting learning expedition here with the Van Kooks, and thank you for joining us on the framing module. I could not have done it without Danny, and if you have a partner to help you build, it's going to help you immensely. So here we have our expert chop saw measurement person.
Learned everything from Ethan.
And she's petting a rat dog.
Or a bat dog, whichever. Patient 0.
So thanks for watching the module. We hope it helps, and we hope it helps you get to the next step and feel confident. You guys got this. We'll see you guys in the wiring section.
Bye, guys. Good luck. You got this. Go get them kooks.
And share your results at Van Kooks with us. We'd love to see it, and we can help answer questions. So give us a shout.
Peace out.
Bye.
All right, Kooks, thank you so much for watching and following along. We hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, please share with a friend and make sure to sign up for the masterclass if you are interested. And we are excited to show you the rest of the build and walk you through the rest of the build. So make sure to check back every week, guys. See you next time. Be sure to go to vancouver.com. Peace out.